Hi teacher, good afternoon. My name is Jean-Pierre Ramirez and I hope you're doing great. And in this video, I will talk about language teaching and language assessment. So let's start. First, I will talk about language teaching. And what is language teaching? Language teaching, in short words, it's a process of learning where students learn to improve their language ability. The main purpose of this process is to help learners to acquire a foreign or a second language. During this process of learning, during language teaching, students have to perform activities to accomplish a specific goal or objective, where language use is required in order to improve learners' language learning. Also, learners will have to perform a language use task best known as language teaching learning task, which will be helpful for learners to improve their language ability and enhance their cognitive, emotional, and social development. Also, this task motivates learners and develops positive attitudes about the language and culture they are studying. Now let's move to language assessment. So what is language assessment? Language assessment is also considered a process, but of collecting information or data about how much and what our students have learned. Language assessment is the first step of a larger process. In other words, assessment refers to samples and results of students' performance. Let's move to the third question. How do they inform each other? First of all, language assessment informs language teaching through the outcomes we get from the assessment. Through the assessment, we will be able to know if our students are achieving the learning goals or not. Also, language teaching is focused on learning and language assessment is focused on collecting data. Language teaching is a process aimed to helping students or learners acquire a new or a foreign language, while language assessment is a process aimed to collecting data or information about learners' progress. Now let's talk about some differences and similarities between language teaching and assessment. Let's talk about the differences first. During the process of teaching a foreign language, teachers transmit learners knowledge about a topic through different strategies, methods, or activities that involve language use. In other words, in teaching language, teacher focuses on applying the most efficient ways to help our students acquire the target language. Let's see an example of language teaching. An example of language teaching is when learners are asked to watch a PowerPoint presentation or a video about a specific topic like simple present, and then they will have to write some sentences or statements about their daily activities, or they will have to share some ideas about what they do during their week. So this is an example of language teaching. On the other hand, when we talk about language assessment, learners are assessed. They are asked to carry out different activities where they must put into practice what they have been learning throughout the course, or they have to show what they have learned about a topic. Let's see an example of language assessment. When we talk about language assessment, an example can be when teacher explains about a topic, any topic, wherever, and then he or she asks learners some questions about this topic. or also when some statements are written on the board about a specific topic, and students have to choose true or false and correct the false statement. So first, teacher makes an explanation, for example, can be about rap music, and then some statements are written on the board and they have to choose true or false and then correct the false statement. So this is an example of language assessment. There are more, but this is only one. Now let's talk about the similarities. Both language teaching and language assessment are ongoing processes. Also, they both require tasks. In language teaching and in language assessments, students participate in these processes or activities. And finally, both in language teaching and language assessment, students are engaged in tasks that require them to use the language. So in language teaching and in language assessment, students will have to perform activities where language use is required. So that was all, teacher. Thank you so much for your attention. See you in the next video. Goodbye and have a nice day.